Ready enough.
We are live.
Good evening and welcome to the Educator Roundtable hosted by the Maryland State Board of Education and the Maryland State Department of Education. My name is Rachel McCusker. I am the teacher member of the State Board of Education and a K-5 music educator in the Carroll County Public Schools. It is my pleasure to facilitate this virtual roundtable with Deputy Superintendent Dr. Sylvia Lawson, and to welcome our roundtable participants and our viewers on YouTube Live. If participants need interpretation, please click the globe icon at the bottom of your screen and choose English or Spanish. There are simultaneous interpreters supporting the event tonight, so all participants and presenters are encouraged to speak clearly and slowly enough for them to interpret effectively. Tonight, we will learn about the Strategic Plan and Engagement Report, Phase 1, that was recently released by the State Board of Education and MSDE. After this presentation, educators will have an opportunity to share their reflections and input on the strategic plan through the roundtable discussion. This roundtable is part of the unprecedented and ongoing engagement that will continue informing the strategic planning process. The strategic plan will guide MSDE's organizational direction as it leads the transformation necessary to achieve excellent and equitable outcomes for all students, especially those who have been historically underserved. The correlation between educator effectiveness and positive student outcomes has long been established in research. Recent findings show the positive impact of increasing educator diversity on all students' academic and behavior outcomes. Unfortunately, along with the rest of the country, Maryland is facing increasing teacher shortages and an educator workforce that does not match the diversity of our student population. The presentation, Maryland's Teacher Workforce, Supply, Demand, and Diversity, from the July 2022 State Board of Education meeting, provides a data and research deep dive on these issues. Tonight, we want to hear the narrative behind those numbers. It is imperative that we hear from educators about their experiences and integrate their stories into our strategic planning process. It is especially important for us to hear from a wide range of educators. The teachers we are speaking with tonight represent diverse grade levels, content areas, and demographics. So we'd like to learn a little bit more about them. At this time, we ask our roundtable participants to complete the Who's in the Room poll on your Slido. Click on the link in the chat to answer those quick questions in Slido. We will be using Slido throughout the roundtable, so please keep that tab open. We will share the results after we hear opening remarks from Deputy Superintendent of Organizational Effectiveness, Dr. Sylvia Lawson.
Thank you, Board Member McCusker. I am happy to serve as the designee for State Superintendent of Schools, Mr. Mohammed Chaudhry, who is currently returning from a student shadow and could not be with us tonight. He asked me to express his sincere apologies and also his appreciation for everyone participating here this evening. Your comments, as well as your input, is extremely important. As a principal of a middle school and a high school, I personally know how valued teachers are and should be in a school setting. As a principal, I worked hard to make sure teachers did not have those extra responsibilities such as lunch duty, and as a teacher, you probably understand what I'm saying, hall duty, bus duty, because I understood the importance of teachers being focused on what was occurring in the classroom. We know that the conversation that we are about to engage in with you tonight will be invaluable, and we encourage you to speak your truth and share your ideas openly. I am going to do a short presentation to share information about the strategic plan. We have been engaging key stakeholders throughout the state but we can always get better at extending the tent so that we can include the thoughts and opinions of a very diverse group of individuals. It is important that we engage our communities. It is also important to the state superintendent that we over-engage rather than under-engage our stakeholders and constituents throughout the state. Next slide, please. My presentation will be broken up into 5 sections. I am going to give you an introduction into our strategic plan. It will include why we have a strategic plan and why our strategic plan matters. I will give you a brief synopsis of the blueprint for Maryland's future. It is a massive law, so I am going to only give you a high-level overview, and then I will give you a summary of the level of engagement that has occurred at the state and that we will continue to do. And then I will give you an overview of what our phase 1 components of the strategic plan are about and what is coming next. And finally, we are going to engage with you about your thoughts and what you are seeing in terms of the work that is going on across the state.
Dr. Lawson, before we get into the presentation, can we check in on those poll results and see who the educators that we have in the room?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. I would also like to just remark that we were hoping to have Beryl Dudney, the new Teacher of the Year for the state of Maryland, joining us this evening, and we're planning on having her input as well. But unfortunately, she is ill this evening and is unable to join us. And we wish her a speedy recovery and all the best in her year representing the state of Maryland as our Teacher of the Year. All right, how about those poll results? Now we'll see the results of our Who's in the Room poll. This shows the regional diversity of our participants tonight. It looks like we have educators joining us from Western, Central, Southern, and Eastern Maryland. And in addition to geographic diversity, let's see, we've got Baltimore City, Frederick County, Montgomery. In addition to geographic diversity, here you can see the different grade levels represented. Can we take a look at the different grade levels, please? Maybe not. Okay. Somebody, I think we might be having technical difficulty pulling up the different grade levels. Maybe we should come back.
Yes, we just need Dylan to give Maria access to share her screen so she can show the responses.
Okay. We can stand by for a moment.
So if you haven't answered the Who's in the Room poll and need a little bit more time, this is perfect for you. So go ahead and make sure you hit that submit button, and we will have those results up for you shortly.
Okay. Yeah, let's see here. While we're waiting, oh, I see a couple of familiar faces that I've seen before. As I look around. Hi, Brendan. It's good to see you. Brendan and I are colleagues in Carroll County and are familiar with each other for our time as Teachers of the Year. Montgomery County, looks like, I can see that we have some early childhood, some bilingual educators, Prince George's, Frederick. How are we coming with those results? Oh, good. Excellent. So here's our school districts. that we have represented today? And it looks like we have a pretty broad representation and our grade levels. All right, so lots of high school, but we also have some elementary, pre-K, middle, and kindergarten. So it looks like we have pretty much the K to 12, pre-K to 12 spectrum represented today. And our content. So we have preschool and community-based organizations for early childhood. Let's see, we've got some science, career and tech, social studies, art, special areas in the house, all content. So we have a pretty wide range. Do we have anything else? Is there a way to slide down and see if there's any more there? Okay. All right, thank you. So now we're going to transition to our presentation. Oh, wait, there is more. There we go. Oh, another music teacher. All right, band teacher. All subjects self-contained, ag, media arts, biomedical. Wow, we have quite a diverse group of educators here today representing lots of different content areas. This is going to be fantastic for informing our work on the Strategic Planning Committee. Dr. Lawson, are you ready to begin the presentation?
I am. Thank you for that, Ms. McCusker. I was so eager to talk about the importance of teachers, and I still am, and to share the strategic plan. So Lindsay, could you let me know when we are ready to start on slide number 3?
And while she's getting the slide up, it's important that we know as we're listening to the presentation that you'll know the different priorities and enablers that we're going to be discussing today. So please take note of those because we'll be using them as part of our discussion and our Q&A. And again, if you need interpretation, please click the globe icon at the bottom of your screen and choose English or Spanish. We will be sharing the English version of the presentation this evening, but we will follow up with translated versions for our participants who requested that. And once participant questions appear in Slido, you can like the questions that are most important to you, and that will help us to prioritize the questions using your likes. And I think we're ready to move on. All right, Dr. Lawson, we're ready for the strategic plan. Take it away.
All right, Lindsay, could you go to slide number 3, please? Why do we need a strategic plan? Thank you so much. You may wonder why we need a strategic plan. I am sure that many of you are in districts that have a strategic plan, and some of you may have witnessed the board reviewing the strategic plan. The strategic plan in your county may have many goals, and some of you may have been involved in helping to create those goals. The State Department has not had a strategic plan in a very long time. The development of a strategic plan gives the department an opportunity to reimagine the work of the State Department of Education. So the development of the strategic plan is extremely important. The development of a strategic plan also allows us to look at many things that are going on in education in Maryland. Due to the COVID pandemic, there were historically underserved groups. However, the state superintendent recognized that a return to normal, therefore, was not good enough because normal was not always about equitable opportunities. Challenges continue to persist, so we should not return to what we always deemed as normal. Ultimately, our goal is to achieve the blueprint, and we are currently in the blueprint generation because it is during this time that the blueprint has been created. So we must be able to implement this multi-billion-dollar initiative right. It is very unique and it is extremely important because the blueprint will anchor our work and help pave the way for what we can achieve in the strategic plan. Next slide, please. Here is our roadmap for completion of the strategic plan. It is purposefully winding because all roads are winding in various ways. We kicked off the process in November. We started with a survey and ultimately began data walks in different areas of the state. To date, we have completed 4 data walks. We are providing this information to different regions across the state. That's how important we know it is. We began with the state board meeting in Washington County, where we released phase 1. In phase 1, we wanted to revamp the mission statement of the State Board of Education and the State Department of Education, our vision, our values, and our priorities, which are things that we want to focus on in order to make sure that we are able to fulfill the needs of the student throughout the state. And we have enablers. Enablers are the structural components that must be in place to ensure student success. We are currently in phase 2. Our goal in phase 2 will be to develop goals and metrics. Where are we going to go in the next 5 years, and what will be our baseline? Ultimately, a plan must have strategies, which is how we will be able to measure and identify flagship programs, initiatives, and strategies. And these programs and initiatives will help us fulfill our goals. Next slide, please. Here are the elements of our strategic plan. Phase 1 again has our mission and vision, which are the values that will inform our work, our priorities, and things that we will focus on to ensure that every Maryland student from pre-kindergarten through 12th grade has a high quality education. And we especially want to pay attention from the state level with our enablers, which are the structural conditions related to resources and making sure that we do not have teacher shortages. And that is extremely important. And we have systems to develop our teachers, making sure that we have a nuanced data on how students are doing. And these are the differences from the enablers to the priorities. They make sure that our priorities are supported and help our decision-making process. The goals and metrics track progress and measure success in connection to each priority. Next slide, please. Now let's talk about the blueprint. I'm sure that everyone has heard some things about the blueprint, and we would like to share information as well. All of our work is grounded in the successful implementation of the blueprint. Let's go to the next slide. The blueprint was passed by the General Assembly in 2021. There were earlier versions of it that passed, but they did not have all of the elements that the current blueprint legislation has. It will provide a $3.8 billion funding for school systems over the next 10 years. It is truly something that is unique. Never has a state passed a law that impacts every aspect of education. So the blueprint is truly a big deal. There was a commission known as the Kerwin Commission that met for 3 years and studied what it would take to move Maryland's education system to the next level. The commission published the Kerwin report that ultimately aided Assembly members in Annapolis in crafting the blueprint legislation. All of this work revolves around 5 pillars, and I will share what those pillars are for the blueprint. Next slide. So again, I am going to give you a high-level overview and talk about a law that is 100+ pages. So there are 5 pillars. The blueprint is anchored around each pillar, and under each pillar, there are specific initiatives, programs, and investment. Pillar 1 in the blueprint law is centered on early childhood education. And what does that mean? It involves making sure that more and more of our families can obtain high-quality pre-K. whether it is through the school system or in a different setting or a different venue, but making sure that more of our families have access to quality pre-K and that they have options. And in doing so, we will make sure that the cost of pre-K is something that is attainable, especially for our families who are low income or not as affluent as other areas in the state. The second pillar is high quality and diverse teachers and school leaders. The goal is to make Maryland the place where you want to be a teacher, and it is a place where teachers from outside of Maryland would like to come. Raising starting pay to $60,000 for teachers is a big deal, and not all of our systems are there yet, but they will eventually be. It is creating additional incentives so teachers do not need to leave the classroom to feel like they have opportunities to earn high wages. The state will institute career ladders where teachers can make an additional $17,000 on top of their base pay. So that is a big deal as well. The state will invest in making sure that our educator preparation programs through colleges and universities are preparing teachers adequately and making sure our new teachers are supported with mentorships. And we have initiatives in place to make sure that when teachers go into the classroom, that they are prepared. They are prepared to teach students. And that is important as well, making sure that our teachers in the classroom feel that they are supported. And in addition, what we would also like to do is make sure that our teachers reflect our student population. The next pillar is college and career readiness. Everything that the blueprint tries to do converges in this pillar. It sets new expectations that our students are college and career ready by 10th grade, and if not, by the time they graduate from high school. It is going to make sure that all of our students have the support and the curriculum in their schools to prepare them to be college and career ready. The fourth pillar is more resources for student success. More resources for student success means exactly what it sounds like. The goal is to invest more dollars in our school systems as students with disabilities and English language learners especially need these resources. And finally, the fifth pillar is governance and accountability. The whole goal of that pillar is governance and accountability, meaning that we will be held accountable. One of the things that everyone should know is that all of the districts would have to turn in or will have to turn in implementation plans across these 5 pillars. And the plans are due in March of 2023. Let's go to the next slide. Let's talk more about the engagement that the state board and the State Department has been doing around the state to find out what is important to our stakeholders. Next slide. We want to make sure that we are taking a multi-pronged approach to being able to meet our stakeholders where they are. The one thing the superintendent has been adamant about is making sure stakeholder engagement involves expanding the tent to include an increased depth and breadth of engagement. We have a community engagement team in the department that is dedicated to ensuring that we are able to engage our stakeholders well. Engagement has included a survey, community events, listening sessions, and of course, roundtables like the one you are participating in tonight. Next slide. We want to make sure that we continue to engage in a variety of different ways with stakeholder groups. Stakeholder engagement will continue to be a major priority. We will also engage outside of the school system with other organizations, and many are listed here, such as students, families, educators, higher education partners, community organizations, business organizations, and advocates who are experts. Next slide. This slide depicts what our numbers look like so far. And I want to remind you that this only shares what we did during phase 1. We will have an update when we go to the end of phase 2. So far, during our survey, we have gotten over 27,000 respondents to our survey. We have participated in over 5,000 events. These were not always events that we hosted. We have also participated in over 20 roundtables, and we have had over 307 participants and over 30 hours of dialogue. Next slide. Let's talk about some of those phase 1 elements that we landed on. So let's go to the next slide. Again, when we look at our mission and vision statement that applies to the state, the mission statement is that we will ensure a rigorous and world-class educational experience for every Maryland student in every neighborhood that prepares each to be college and career ready through strategic direction, leadership, policymaking, and resource allocation, engagement, and advocacy. And our vision statement is we will be a system of world-class schools where students acquire the knowledge and skills necessary for success in college, career, and equally as important, in life. Next slide. These are the values that we landed on. You can see them here. The values are around accountability, engagement, equity, excellence, and transformation. I will not read all of them for you, but if you look at accountability, it states that we will take responsibility for our commitments and maintain open, transparent, and responsive communications on academic, operational, and financial policies and outcomes. Next slide, please. Let's talk more about these priorities. The priorities essentially encapsulates the things that we want to see happen as major milestones for our students as they advance through pre-kindergarten through 12th grade. There are a lot of things that was considered, but ultimately we decided on what should be the focus items over the next 3 to 5 years and beyond while we implement the blueprint. The priorities encapsulate stakeholder feedback that we received through multiple methods. Next slide. Now we will review the enablers. The enablers are those structural things that support the priorities. You can see that there are 4 enablers, and I would like to briefly review what those 4 are with you. Number 1, Maryland is going to support our schools and local education agencies, as well as families and decision makers, by producing relevant, timely, and high-quality data and reporting, and enabling educators to make the best use of their resources to meet the needs of our students and accelerate student achievement. Number 2, Maryland's classrooms will be challenging and support and inspire students. Therefore, our schools will be equipped with high-quality curricula, lessons, assessments, and systems for intervention, as well as for acceleration. Number 3, Maryland is elevating the stature of the teaching profession by intentionally working to attract, recruit, and retain qualified and diverse teacher workers and employees. We will also set rigorous standards for educator preparation programs and induction, and implement a career ladder system that is focused on the development and growth opportunities for educators. And finally, enabler number 4, we are ensuring that Maryland will be able to have student success by supporting our students' social, emotional learning, health, wellness, and safety. Enhancing the school culture and climate, scaling high quality wraparound supports for students, and strengthening family and community engagement. Next slide. So what is next in continuing our efforts to share information about the strategic plan and gain stakeholder input? Let's examine that question now. Next slide. You have already seen a picture of this winding road. So phase 1 is grayed out. The color that is bright is phase 2, because we are in phase 2 now. We have talked about priorities and enablers, but now we will discuss how we will measure them. In phase 2, we will release goals and metrics. What indicators will let us know how we are being successful? And then in phase 3, we will be answering questions about what needs to be true in every school program based on initiatives and strategies that have been selected. Next slide. We are going to keep the conversation going. And one of the things that we are going to continue to do is hold roundtable discussions like the one we are holding tonight. We are going to continue to do all of the other events as well. In phase 2, we are going to conduct regional gallery walks, as I have said, which started in Western Maryland. And we are also going to be providing additional interactive experiences around our work. Next slide. Everything that I have just shared with you is on a new website that we have launched. There is also a strategic plan guidebook that shows everything that we have talked about tonight. There is an engagement report that will give you more examples about events that we have conducted and the survey that we have held statewide. According to the survey, the number one thing that individuals are concerned about is early literacy. So we do look at what stakeholders think is important, and we do value stakeholder input. And now the last slide. When time allows, please go to our website and learn more about why we landed where we have, how we selected our priorities, what priorities we have, our enablers, our mission, and our vision. And with that, I will return it to Ms. McCusker.
Thank you, Dr. Lawson. I certainly learned a lot from the presentation and hope that our participants and viewers on YouTube also took a lot away from that presentation. There's a lot of information to take in. Before we address questions, I want to give our participants the chance to rank the strategic plan priorities and enablers that are most important to them. Please click on the link in the chat or use the same Slido tab you opened to ask questions or to take the poll. At the top of your screen, select polls. Then you will be able to rank the top 3 priorities and enablers that you would like to discuss during the roundtable. While you are ranking the priorities and the enablers, we will transition to a brief question and answer. We want to make sure that you have an adequate understanding of the priorities and enablers in the strategic plan before we begin our discussion. So we will try to answer as many questions as time permits. Participants can view all questions and upvote on Slido. Dr. Lawson is going to facilitate the question and answer session.
Okay.
We don't have any questions from the audience yet. So I think, Dr. Lawson, you did such an excellent job explaining that there's no need to ask any clarifying questions.
Everybody's
unless
good?
unless we get any questions in the next minute or so, we can move on to the discussion.
I think that is important, Lindsay. I think it is important for us to hear from our stakeholders tonight. So let's move to the discussion.
All right, thank you. So Board Member McCusker, you can lead us into the roundtable discussion portion of the event.
All right. For our participants who have not submitted your priority and enabler ranking, please make sure that you press send and submit those now. Before we begin our discussion, I would like to go over just a few housekeeping items. To indicate that you would like to speak, click on the smiley face at the bottom of your screen and use the raise hand function. When you're not speaking, please stay muted and use the chat function. If we're running short on time and there are additional comments that you would like to add, the chat is a great place to put that so we have a record of it. We are looking forward to hearing about your honest reflections and innovative ideas this evening. So we ask you to be as open as possible while avoiding mentioning the specific names of teachers, school staff, and students so that we are protecting their privacy. We have multilingual educators joining us tonight. So again, we ask participants to speak slowly and clearly enough for effective translation and interpretation. If you are using interpretation services this evening, we ask you to pause after a few minutes of talking so the interpreter can repeat your comments in English. We want to hear from our YouTube Live viewers as well. So please use the YouTube Live chat to make comments throughout the discussion. Your feedback will also inform our planning. All right, so let's take a look at some of those poll results. Okay, so based on the poll results, educators prioritize the following strategic plan priorities and enablers for discussion today. So it looks like we have prioritized enabler 3, educator preparation, diversity, and quality, followed by priority 1, ready for kindergarten, and priority enabler number 4, social emotional learning, look like our top 3. So we will be working to elevate the stature of the teaching profession by intentionally working to attract, recruit, and retain a highly qualified and diverse workforce, setting rigorous standards for educator preparation programs and induction, and implementing a career ladder system focused on development, growth, and opportunities for all educators. That is our enabler 3. And we'll have questions to guide our discussion on each priority and enabler. And we would like for you to answer based on your role as an educator. And we're going to do our best to provide about 15 minutes for discussion on each of the top 3 priorities and enablers. Our goal is for everyone to share at least once. So please keep your comments as brief as possible. And starting with the highest ranked priority and enabler, we're going to discuss enabler 3, which we talked about. For this enabler, what challenges do you think may come up as we're trying to prepare a diverse and quality educator workforce? What supports or strategies do you think will be needed? And what does success for this priority look like? We will also put these in the chat for your reference. Before you answer, please share your name, your LEA, your county, your content area, and the question that you're choosing to address. All right, so who would like to share? Let's start maybe with the challenges that you think will come up. Who thinks they have an idea of what kind of challenges you think we're going to come up with as we're trying to work on enabler 3? Anyone? Do I have a raise? Oh, there's a raised hand.
Mhm.
All right. Dr. Rosalina Burgos.
I think that Brendan Gallagher raised his hand before me.
Oh, sorry.
By all means, go ahead.
Well, I am Dr. Rosalina Burgos. I am the Senior Director of Early Childhood at Centronia. We have centers in DC and Maryland. And the biggest challenge we have encountered is the definition of early childhood first, because early childhood is not limited to pre-K. We provide services for infants and toddlers in a continuum of birth through 5. And that is something that needs to take into consideration because those teachers are not described and included in that in this plan. Also, the other challenge that we are facing is that teachers are leaving. We hire them for the pre-K, and either they cannot complete the requisites for certification because they are Spanish speakers and their capacity to manage the tests and the materials in English is difficult for them, so they may give up. Or once they get certified, they leave for the public school. And we face this year that we're facing the teacher shortage at every level. But this year we saw it when we had to change 2 of our MSDE funded classrooms because we didn't have certified teachers. So instead of having their children waiting to find a certified teacher, we switched the funding source for those 2 classrooms. And that means that we are not providing service to children from the state of Maryland, specifically from Prince George's County, which is really close to our center. They may not have the opportunity to attend because of the difficulties that are brought in by this certification requirement. We agree, and in my experience as a teacher, I am an early childhood teacher. I always identify myself as that. But in the process of becoming an educator and continuing my studies, I acknowledge the importance of having that preparation. But if we are the most diverse state in the United States, we have to create pathways for teachers who don't master English to be able to show their competence in their mother language, because these are the teachers that reflect the population of children we serve. And if we want that diversity to be shown, we have to create the pathway for them to achieve that. For us, one of the biggest challenges is to have, right before the pandemic, 60% of our children were from Ethiopian ascent. And they were all Amharic speakers, so they were English language learners, Amharic speakers, and they were learning Spanish too. And that population changed because of the pandemic. So another challenge that we have seen is how the demographics have changed due to the pandemic, and we don't have reliable information about how these shifts have created spaces where we are not serving or providing that teacher that reflects the reality of our kids. And that's something very important for kindergarten, for if we want them to be ready for kindergarten. So when I was looking at I realized that I had a question for clarification, is why infants and toddlers are not included in this continuum of education, since they are receiving early childhood education services through the private providers, or like us, that we are a community-based organization that is funded by the state, by the county, and other means to make sure that all our children have access to high quality, no matter their family income. So for me, the biggest challenge, and for the association and organization and everyone, is how do we retain, but how do we make sure that people who are capable to become teachers can reach that goal? Because right now it is practically impossible for them.
Thank you. That is excellent feedback for us to think about and to try to work through, particularly those pathways for our English learners and the community around them. Mr. Gallagher, Brendan.
I am Brendan Gallagher. I'm from Carroll County, and I teach biomedical sciences at a career and tech center. My question that I kind of want to pose is, why are teachers leaving in the first place? And why is the profession not enticing? Is it just the salary? I mean, sure, that's a component, but I think there's other structural challenges, like in our schools, that have not made it an attractive profession. And by answering those questions, I feel like we could help with Enabler 3, because I feel like with Enabler 3, if you don't have a quality teacher in front of you, I don't think any of those other priorities or enablers are able to occur. So I think asking those questions, it's more than just salary. There's other things that are there. And I think by answering those questions, we might make some of the other priorities and enablers a lot easier to accomplish.
Thanks, Brendan. I agree with you. I think we need to take a deep look at that. Betsy Perry from Montgomery County.
Hi, Betsy Perry from Montgomery County. I'm a special education teacher, long-term teacher. I've been teaching almost 30 years. I can retire December 1st if I want to. I probably, sorry. So over the years, I have to say, number one, being a teacher who's taught long-term pre-COVID and post-COVID looks extremely different than pre-COVID. And not to be rude, but unless you are in a school and dealing with what we're dealing with in the school buildings, you have no idea what we're dealing with. We have part of the barriers is our kindergartners coming in who probably could have gone through child fine. Either the parent didn't, or they kept them home because of COVID or whatever reason. We have a lot of students who are coming from trauma. And in elementary, it's the kindergarten and first graders that we're seeing the biggest area of concern. Teachers are burnt out. We are going to hit a national crisis if something isn't done. Money's great. A lot of us would love to have more money, but I'm gonna tell you, there's no amount of money. I don't care if you paid people $1 million, because it's become very challenging and difficult. I'm one of those people that was born a teacher, never dreamt about doing anything else but being an educator. I love what I do, but we're tired. We have huge absences. There are no subs. They're not picking up. People are dropping. My colleague is in here too. I'm still at work. Okay. This is my second Zoom meeting after school. So and I'm doing paperwork. So I don't think that teaching's attractive to young people. And we've seen the data. That's a term for people who are kind of at work, but not really at work. Like the young people are doing entrepreneurship. There are other things they can do and make more money. To answer the gentleman before me, I've spoken to several colleagues who've left the profession. They're getting good government jobs and doing private sector, making more or less, but it's worth it because they don't have the stress. We've all gained weight because we're stress eating, we're tired, and then the needs of the students has risen, and our communities and our families. I'm at a Title I school, a community school. So we're talking very needy, but no one's taking anything off our plate. I'm a nurse, a teacher, a lawyer, a doctor, you name it. I'm the parent, I'm it all. So I don't know how you can make this more attractive, except for people like me who think like me, who are like, oh, I never dreamed of being anything else but a teacher. But the fact that I can retire in December and I'm seriously considering it, it's scary. But and then we're attacked. Teachers, everything's blamed on us. Any ill of society, anything that goes wrong, it's our fault. And then lastly, people who make decisions up high, who are not in the buildings every day, walking our feet, our path, our journey every day. I don't want to hear from you. There's nothing you can tell me that I can do different if you're not in the building. And I don't mean you come in for a couple of hours and it's a dog and pony show. You come in for a week, 9 to 5, you go out and do recess duty, you cover class because there's 10 teachers out, you change that kid's diapers because my principal had to change diapers. I'm gonna let that sit for a minute. That shouldn't happen because she has other things she needs to do to support staff, to support families, instead of changing diapers, because we don't have enough staff to take care of that child's needs. So she had to step in. I'll stop there, but yeah, thank you.
Yeah, there's certainly lots of challenges, to be sure. So what would success look like then? If we know lots of the challenges before us, and all of us do because we're living it every day. So for us as teachers, what would success look like if we were able to make the teaching profession more attractive, if we were able to use Enabler 3 and prepare teachers and have a diverse workforce and quality workforce? Does anyone like to weigh in on what that would look like? Kelly?
I actually want to talk about the supports and strategies because I echo a lot of what Betsy was talking about in terms of the lack of subs and a lot being on teachers' plates. And even with the lack of the teachers that we have in all of these vacancies, I think one of those supports and strategies to encourage and develop those teachers are teacher coaches. And so like I'm specifically talking about my role in my school. You know, I'm a staff developer of fine arts and social studies, which I'm so sorry, I forgot to tell you. I'm Kelly Humble, Baltimore City. Secondary social studies is what my background. So in coaching teachers, because they're coming in without necessarily being a trained teacher through college, or you know, they might be coming in from some sort of career field, and so they might not have that teacher prep in their background. So they're on the job, learning the job, and teacher coaches would help them, you know, lessen the burden of the check boxes of things that they need to, you know, comply with, and also learn how to really teach and reach children. So I think if more teachers were able to be coached and we had more positions like, you know, Betsy, instead of retiring, if she wants to coach all of these young teachers or new teachers, it's that kind of mentorship, I think, that would be successful in order to, you know, even bring more people in, because then they would have that layer of support.
Excellent. Thank you, Kelly. Would anyone else like to weigh in on supports or strategies? Carolina?
Yes, hi everyone. Buenas noches a todos. My name is Carolina Reyes. I am the director, teacher, owner, advocate, many hats of Arcoiris Bilingual Children's Center. And well, there are so many things that I would like to say, but since you moved to, out of the challenges, I just wanted to say that one of the solutions that I could find is definitely to start working together with the childcare group and the public school system. We need to align both so we can work together. Children who are in childcare centers are coming to the public school system, and many of us who are providing quality early, education, our children go to them ready. One of the things that I have noticed with talking with Betsy, I think it was, she said something about children having difficulties going to school after the pandemic. We have seen that. We have to start trying to empower our parents as well to be able to acquire early intervention before going to kindergarten. So the social and emotional foundation that we are providing is strong, and that way they can get ready to go learning when they go to kindergarten. Those who use the ELA system, if we can have it open, so when the teacher in the kindergarten can have access to the ELA. Right now, private centers, we are not allowed to provide to our schools. I provide services for 4 different counties. So that's a barrier. We need to stop county barriers sometimes in certain aspects. If we have a child who comes to a Prince George County and comes from Howard County, they're not able to get services because they are in another county. I also love the idea that Kelly mentioned. Teacher coaching, mentoring, why not to use that for the early educators? For many of the people who are working and they're immigrants like me, who have higher education, who English is not their first language, this could be a great solution for them to be able to have coaching, to be able to have the public pre in our, centers as well. Participating in different, meetings at ECAC around the county, we heard from the public school system that they don't know, they don't have the physical infrastructure to be able to have the 3 and 4 years old in the public school system. What are you guys gonna do when these children who are 3 years old are not ready or they're not potty trained yet because they need to have more one-on-one, in their learning experience? What are we gonna do with them? Is the ratio just gonna be the same? We need to start partnering and start listening to one another, learning from the childcare world and also the public school system. I honestly believe that early childhood education starts at birth. So we need to start considering that, truly and passionately, and start opening this mixed delivery system at the reality, with the truly meaning, so parents can have access to the childcare scholarship for all, and they decide where to go and what is more suitable for them. Maybe that could be a family childcare provider, which are many of them people who have master's degree, but they're working at home to be able to provide more one-on-one to the child. So all of the things we need to really consider and elevate our field. Teachers need to be recognized and really to provide at the state level how important we are. I have heard what our colleague just mentioned before. After the pandemic, we have like 3 different children that they were kicked out from their centers because the challenging behavior was extreme. And then what are we gonna do with that? We don't have access. In the public school system, I'm very sure that how it works, they have a tier 1 and they're tier 2. So you have a child that is having difficulties with behavior. They can have direct access and support right away because you have it in the public school system. Child care centers, we don't have that. And we need to start informing our parents in the importance of intervening early, because if the parents don't do that here, we can let them know, go to Child Find or go to the infant and toddler program. But unfortunately, they don't do that. And we are cross-hand. We wanted to serve the child. We wanted to help them so they can be social, emotional, ready to start kindergarten with all the tools necessary so they can succeed when they go there. But we don't have the resources, and we need to start putting the doors open for all the resources around the state and stop barriers between county to county, particularly in the early intervention part. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we're just about going to wrap up this enabler so we can get to some of our other priorities, but Rodney's been waiting for a bit. Rodney, did you care to share about supports or strategies or what success looks like?
Excuse me. Good evening, everyone. I'm Rodney Lee. I teach music, band in particular, for Worcester County on the Eastern Shore of Maryland. I just wanted to share a thought dealing with teacher shortages as well as sub shortages. Often I think about the gap between becoming a teacher and being a teacher intern or an education student. And I can only speak for myself. I feel that my internship was wonderful and I learned a lot, but it was kind of like a fairy tale. And you feel you're excited, and what you don't realize is that you're coming in teaching under a teacher who has so many years under their belt, and they've prepared and they're comfortable, and you're really teaching under their comfort. And then when you get your own room and setup and whole list of students, and it's probably at a different school, maybe even another county or another district, another state, you have that wake-up call. And I often wonder what if we, not saying that we get rid of the internship program, but maybe start it a little earlier. Maybe if there's something that we could do where substituting was connected to getting your degree, something kind of like maybe like looking into how apprenticeships work and maybe apply some of those methods to it. And I've honestly been afraid to share that thought because I feel like the immediate response is, oh, well, we're going to scare them even more and we'll lose even more people from the profession. But at the same time, I look at in my community where I teach, a lot of people that are heavily involved that, for whatever reason, they just don't have the certificate to be in the classroom, but they want to be involved with the children. I think that we would find it surprising how many people would actually stick with the profession and maybe even, pursue it and think twice about doing something else and pursuing education if we were to really provide them, more of a realistic approach and more mentorship as they're going through that process of receiving the degree.
Okay, thank you very much. Yesterday, when we had our state board meeting, we were discussing some of the induction and new regulations to increase the amount of time that students are in classrooms before they're actually, college students are in classrooms as interns and with mentors. So that's fantastic and timely feedback. Thank you very much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move on here to our second highest ranked priority and enabler, which was priority 4, having students be ready for college and career. This priority refers to all Maryland students graduating from high school, college and career ready, and with an individualized plan to succeed in college, career, and life. So for this priority, how can you support this priority? What challenges do you think may come up? What supports or strategies will be needed? And what does success for this priority look like? We have until about 7:15 or so, maybe 7:20 for this enabler. So if we could make sure that tell us which question you are addressing, and then try to keep it brief so we can hear from lots of different people, that would be excellent. Thank you very much. It looks like we're going to start with Stacy from Anne Arundel County.
Hi, I'm Stacy Eccles from Anne Arundel County. I teach high school agriculture, and as a CTE instructor, I'd like to address some of the challenges that may come up as we look at this priority. One of the big things right now is CTE completion or completers, where they are on a pathway to graduation. The current blueprint, as we are reading it, is they have taken away our ability to count college credits as industry certifications moving forward. In agriculture, there are not industry certifications for agriculture by itself. They are individualized, and many of them have age restrictions where students have to be 18 or older to achieve industry certifications. My colleagues and I have discussed different ways that we might be able to come up with some type of industry credit or industry certification. There are some suggestions and models that if students are able to achieve 12 college credits in a certain area or content area, that it could potentially be a industry certification in agriculture and other CTE fields, as we are struggling to find appropriate industry certifications that our high school students can achieve through the Blueprint plan. So it's important that we are able to educate our students on a career path and get them educated. I teach the case science curriculum, which is very college prep. And so one of the other challenges we face is that our students are in a very rigorous college coursework, and they are doing internships or apprenticeships in the ag field. But a lot of times, or what we're seeing is that you're on this college pathway, or you're on this career pathway, but not necessarily and both, or there's no bridge so students can achieve both pathways. So those are kind of the concerns coming from agricultural educators and CTE educators that I've talked to, relating to industry certifications and age restrictions on industry certifications for college and career readiness.
Thank you. I learned a lot from that. I appreciate it. Lolita. And by the way, if you don't get a chance to comment, please put your comments in the chat so that we can record those. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lolita Kiorpis, and I teach in Charles County at Thomas Stone High School. I teach science, high school, AP, environmental and earth systems. And I just feel that priority 4, respect to the challenges, not all students are ready academically to even think about a college and career course, or even some type of outside of the college. They're not going to college. So we need more for them to just be able to have the life skills that they need to be able to deal with not always being on TikTok and, you know, just things like that. I mean, the students, they don't have this, they don't seem to have the drive to do what they need to do. They don't seem to have the, you know, it's like they're not concerned about what their future is going to be. So I can't instill upon them enough. I say, what do you want to be doing in 3 years? What do you want to be doing in 2 years? What about them? And I don't know, nothing. And so they don't think about going to college. They don't think about doing anything. So I don't know what we can do to get them more involved. Yes, there are programs, and there are some great programs out there, but not everyone can get into those programs. Not all schools have those programs. So there's got to be something else. And when I say life skills, I don't mean it as a bad thing, but just as being able to have a, being able to be productive society members. And, you know, that's what I am worried about, that they don't think that way. So how can we get them to stop and think now? And maybe it's not in every school, but I know that there is a group in many areas that have that kind of lack of focus, lack of wanting to excel. So those are some of the challenges that I feel that we really need to address, and having more people in the classroom or more people in the school. It's not so much just educators, but the challenge is having them there to support the students too, because the students need some support to help them understand their behaviors. They don't understand that you don't talk the way you talk. I mean, there's a lot of cursing going on, and they think it's okay. And so I don't know how to get them to stop. Is it coming from their home life? Is it just coming from TV? Is it just coming from that's the way to be? I don't know. But I try to get them to think about, well, what are you saying? Why are you talking like that? You know? Mm-hmm. So those are things that I'm concerned about.
Thank you. Yeah. Adam, you haven't had an opportunity to share yet. What would you like to address for priority 3? Yeah, priority 4, college and career.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
So my name is Adam Lay. I'm a high school teacher in Baltimore County. I work at in the district's largest high school, and we have the largest ESOL population, et cetera. And I just wanted to kind of underscore and highlight what my colleague, Mr. Gallagher, had mentioned before, and sort of kind of dovetail enabler 3 with this particular priority, because at a high school level, the way that I try to support my own department in trying to get our students college and career ready is it really begins with getting the most highly qualified teachers into the classroom. It starts there. And so the importance is really about how do we retain the highly qualified teachers that we already have, and how do we attract new ones to the profession. And as somebody who's been hiring teachers now for over 10 years, I'm seeing the same sorts of trends that everybody else is seeing. And of course, some of them are alarming and concerning. But it's interesting though, in that it's helped me sort of reframe some of my thinking as like, what is my position as a school leader in terms of getting my teachers to be able to develop the skills necessary for our kids to be career and college ready. And I think the most important shift that has come, this also relates to my colleague from Baltimore City, excuse me, I forgot your name at this time, but it's really about how do we best support our teachers. And so early in my career, a lot of the conversation was really related more to accountability, data, et cetera. And some of that is kind of scary for some of the teachers that are working in challenging situations in schools. And so the conversation, I think, in a very good way, has shifted to what can we do to make sure that we're supporting our teachers as well as we possibly can that are working under difficult circumstances and difficult environments. And I think that's a sort of a larger shift that needs to continue to be thought about in how we use our data and to inform how are we relating to that to how we're doing instructional programs and supports and instructional visions, et cetera. But really supporting our teachers, the ones that we have, is going to be really critical to maintaining the highly qualified ones that we have. We can't do a lot in terms of how do we recruit, more to the school building level, but certainly we want to keep the great ones that we have, which is very much like the people that decided to join in this call and to share, their own experiences and expertise. So just wanted to dovetail those two in. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. We have time for maybe one or two more. Brendan?
Yeah, I'll expand on that as well. And I wanted to talk about what Mr. Lee had said as well. As a CTE teacher, my background is in microbiology. I was in the profession, and I made the change into teaching for my own personal choices. So I kind of have this unique perspective. My only teaching experience prior to becoming a biomedical science teacher in my county was just teaching as a graduate student in undergrad. And what can we do to make the profession more enticing to individuals that are in the profession? Because that will not only increase our ability to hire highly qualified teachers, but also give them the career readiness perspective. And so being able to support teachers like me as a career changer, I think would be really a key and important. When I was first hired, our supervisor had said, you are either going to strike out or you're going to hit a home run. I like to think I hit a home run, but I still would love having more support as of, in my first years. So I will let Miss Perry continue. I will cede my time.
I feel like I'm at a union meeting. Thank you. I'm actually going to be additive. Thank you for that. We did some student-based voice data at our school. It's elementary. And we found out that our fifth graders didn't have hope about their future. So we started bringing in more high school students, college students, and professionals that look like our students, so they can see that you don't have to be a rapper or a singer or whatever, and that there are other options. Number two, we need our local stakeholders, community members, and business leaders to come into our schools. They need to volunteer. They need to make themselves present and seen. Again, we need people who look like our students, who are diverse, so that they can see that there's other pathways. I agree with what other people said. I have 3 grown children. 2 of them did the college route. 1 did not. He barely made it out of high school. He unfortunately didn't take opportunities, and it speaks to what Miss Lolita said about the apathy in a lot of our high school students. They're struggling, and so they need direction. In Montgomery County, things could have changed. Those career pathways outside of college are for the kids who are making A's and B's and are going to college. That doesn't make sense. We need, one of my sons graduated from PG County. At his school, there were kids who graduated with a 2-year AA degree for accounting. We need more we need more of those types of signature programs in our I need to slow down, in our highly impacted schools, because this mostly greatly affects our children of color who are in poverty. And so having more people who look like our students in the schools, volunteering, coming to career day, having them involved in different support groups, mentoring groups would be beneficial. And then getting more student voice. We need to, I think we're going off of old data for some of the things that we're discussing, and we need to bring it up to 2022, 23, because the students' thinking is a lot different. Thank you.
Thank you. And I did, before we leave this, I understand Claudine put something really interesting in the chat about her teaching residency that was related. And we're going to take this last one and then wrap up and move on to our last set of questions. Claudine?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Claudine Gray, and I am from Baltimore City. I am a first-year second grade teacher. This summer, I went through the Baltimore City Teaching Residency Program. So I switched career. I was a director, and then I switched career to being a teacher. And I went through this intense 6 weeks training, giving me the tools that I need to manage classrooms, because I know that once I'm able to manage a classroom, the curriculum will come. Like I'm working on knowing my curriculum right now. That's one of my goals for the year. And and as a new teacher, I always wanted to be a teacher. So when I went through this route and got the opportunity to serve, I was very excited, because now I know that I can be impactful. I know that I'm not only going to teach curriculum, I'm going to touch lives. And when I go to school every day, my students see someone look just like them. And I explain to them that I can't teach if you're not in school, because they'll go, okay, I don't want to come to school. And then I explain to them, I can't teach if you're not in school. If you're not sick, if your family member are not sick, you need to report to school. So I have right now, it's like 100% student coming into school. And I just take that opportunity that Baltimore Teaching Residency Program granted me, so that I can serve in Baltimore City, because I know that all students go through different things. And if I had listened to what I heard about Baltimore City, I would have not come aboard. I would not have joined. But being in the midst and go through it every day, I take joy in what I do. And I thank Baltimore Teaching Residency Program for equipping me with the tools that I need. I'm still going through. It was not only the summer. Every Tuesday we have to meet for school. So I tell my students that I'm in school every Tuesday, because we get coaching, we get different things that we need, so that we can bring it back to the classroom to support our students. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. Sounds like it was a powerful thing for you to be able to be in classrooms. And when we have our college and career, we can bring some of these students in through the TAM program and get some more people, young people in, to feel that same powerful thing that you feel in the classroom. Thank you, Claudine. Finally, we're going to discuss our third ranked priority and enabler, which was enabler 4, and that's the social emotional learning, health and wellness, and safety. And this priority refers to supporting our students' social emotional learning, their health and wellness, their safety, enhancing school culture and climate, scaling high quality wraparound supports and partnerships, and strengthening educator and community engagement. And for this enabler, what challenges do you think may come up? What supports or strategies will be needed? And what does success for this priority look like? Please remember to introduce who you are, which question you are addressing, and try to keep it brief so we can get these last couple of people in, so we can respect everybody's time this evening as we're running a little low. And there's several of you who haven't participated yet. So if you haven't participated yet, we would love for you to bring your perspective to the table tonight. All right, so let's see. Right now, the only hand Rosalina.
Megan Alexander.
I had you queued up first. And it must have come after I'd looked. Thank you. Let's see, I have Megan and Sarah. So Megan, you go ahead and go first.
Thank you, Rosalina. My name is Megan Alexander, and I am a first grade teacher in Montgomery County. And I wanted to share a little bit of an experience almost as a teacher who felt like she really did a 180 in my last 3 years. I'd been teaching 20 years before school shut down and we had to learn and teach from home. And I was always business at school. I had blinders on. I was, on pace to make sure that everything was reported when it was supposed to be reported as it was supposed to be reported. And when the pandemic hit, there was this big light bulb that went off that if students are not socially, emotionally ready, if they don't feel safe, if they do not have just this feeling of that they're comfortable, that they have someone who cares about them, and if they don't have the space to be themselves and have agency in their learning, I have figured out that nothing else really matters, and other things are not going to happen. So this was, although starting to develop, I feel like it was, like I said, that big light bulb that went off. So I was teaching from home and they were learning from home, and my first graders had questions and wanted to make sure that there was always going to be someone there on the other side of the screen for them. And I realized that that's what it was all about. And the students that we had the most difficulty logging on every day was because the environment in which they lived was volatile or inconsistent. And without that, there wasn't learning happening. They're not ready for learning unless there is a feeling of social, emotional, academic safety, that idea that they can take risks. And like I said, that there's someone that cares about them when they arrive at whatever school they may be arriving at, be it virtual or in person. And I wanted to share that because I really feel I put that as the number one, because I feel like all of the other elements of a child's school day, including the academics, fall into place because of their readiness and their willingness to take risks and really engage in their own learning. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah from Worcester.
Hi, my name's Sarah Purdue. I am, lowering my hand. I am an art teacher in Worcester County, and what Miss Alexander was referring to, or what it reminded me of, was the Maslow hierarchy of needs. Mm-hmm. And I just feel like 1,000% our first priority should be that they feel safe, whether that's emotionally safe. Absolutely. I feel really passionate about that. I was a psychology major as well as a teacher and an artist, but also physically safe. I feel like schools can be dangerous when, like crazy things happen and the school shootings and everything. And I think that should be our top priority, to making sure that our schools are safe, honestly. And so the children can feel safe and the staff can feel safe, and then everything else should come second. So I wanted to highlight that, even though it's such a scary thing to bring up and to talk about, I do think should be our number one priority. And then as well, being an artist and an art teacher, I just wanted to highlight also the arts and how important they are for students to want to show up, to participate. I'm sorry, let me reframe that. So many of our students want to show up to school because of the things like the arts. Like, I work with Mr. Rodney Lee, and he's amazing. My child actually takes piano from him, and that's one of his passions. And I don't know. I think I summed it up what I was trying to say.
Yeah, as a fine arts teacher, I get exactly what you're saying, and that's a strategy, is to make sure that we have a diverse set of programming so that children can come and pursue their passions, because sometimes it's their passion that brings them to school each day. Yeah, thank you. Mary.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mary Workman, and I teach at the Virtual Academy in Wycomico County, second grade. And I just wanted to specifically focus on the safety aspect of this portion of our chat. I agree with Ms. Alexander and Ms. Purdue. There's absolutely nothing else that can occur during the day if the students don't feel safe. There's not going to be any learning. There's not going to be any fun. They have to feel safe. Safety should always be first. So thank you, ladies, for sharing that. I just feel like that's very important and should never stop being reiterated. I also think too, with that being said, there needs to be clear expectations for staff and students, nothing wishy-washy. And I know everybody's not going to agree on what is best, but we need to try our best to follow those expectations. If everyone's not following them, they're not going to work. So I think everybody needs to come to the situation with an open mind. I know Wycomico County right now is experiencing some change in safety measures. So I just really think teachers or staff in general and students need to be more open to change in that aspect because it's important. We should accept nothing less than our best to ensure safety for especially the students, but everyone in the building when a situation may occur. And it's not just going to be one quick fix. We have to be patient, we have to be understanding, and we have to do what's best for everyone's safety. So thanks for letting me share.
Thank you for sharing. And we're going to have to be wrapping up so that we're keeping everybody's time. Jordan, I haven't heard from you this evening, and I see that your hand is up, so we'd love to let you close things out tonight.
Okay, my name is Jordan Banks. I am interning in Frederick County schools right now. I go to Hood College. This is my senior year. I think relationships and relationship building is the most important thing for any student. That's what creates safety in the classroom, because as a student, as me still being a student myself, I'm not going to feel safe going into a classroom if I don't have a relationship with that teacher or with that staff member. So building those positive relationships makes a big difference in a child's academic career overall, which ties into the college and career readiness, which ties into having actual staff be there and wanting to be there because these students actually care about these staff members. You're not going to have students disrespect the staff member if they actually have a relationship with them, or you're not going to have students want to literally run out the classroom and put themselves in danger if they know they have somebody in the school that actually cares for them. And I think that's how we have to tie back in as educators, is creating those positive relationships, because if we don't have them, then we can't move forward with anything else, because a child is going to do what a child wants to do if they don't feel safe and if they don't feel like they have somebody that cares about them.
Awesome, Jordan. Awesome. Gives me hope for the future with you coming in as a future educator. Thank you for sharing that this evening. To our participants, our interpreters, and those of you viewing on YouTube Live, the State Board and MSDE, thank you for joining us tonight for this roundtable discussion with educators about our strategic plan, phase 1. If you'd like to learn more about the strategic plan, please visit our website, strategicplan.marylandpublicschools.org. Your feedback will continue to guide the ongoing development of the strategic plan, and we need as many Marylanders as possible to give input. So please complete and share the strategic planning survey at marylandpublicschools.org/survey. We will post both of those links in the roundtable and the YouTube chat. Dr. Lawson, would you like to share any closing remarks this evening?
Absolutely. Thank you, Ms. McCusker. I think you did a phenomenal job. And so I would like to thank you for facilitating this roundtable. It has really been a pleasure for me to be involved in it with you. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
For all of our participants, once again, I would like to thank you for taking time out of your busy day, which is now your busy night, to come out and share your thoughts and ideas. And Jordan, you know, you could not have closed out this roundtable any better than what you did tonight. So thank you and everyone else very, very much. I cannot go without thanking Lindsay and her team, Tani and Maria, and they did a phenomenal job, as well as Dylan. So I would like to thank the MSDE staff that made this roundtable possible. And first and foremost, I would like to remind each and every one how important the state superintendent knows that having stakeholder engagement will help us to make sure that we target the things that are really important to everyone across the state. So thank you all so much.
Thank you, Dr. Lawson. And again, thank you to all of our participants. It was really wonderful hearing from all of you. We know that teacher voice matters, and you know what's going on in your schools and give probably one of the most timely perspectives on our work. Thank you again. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.
All right. Have a good night, everyone.